What is up, Cowboy Nation? Dallas fan 1997 here, guys. For me, had a good week of watching college football. So glad the Dallas Cowboys didn't play for this bye week, man. I needed a break. The Cowboys have been absolutely atrocious this year, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And it was nice just to get a little bit of a break. My Notre Dame Fighting Irish, we got a big win yesterday against against Pittsburgh, the University of Pittsburgh. You know, everybody's been saying some ridiculous nonsense that, oh, Notre Dame doesn't deserve their ranking, even though we beat Penn State, Indiana, and Georgia last year, and we challenged the Ohio State Buckeyes in the national championship. But, you know, people love hating on Notre Dame, much like they love hating on the Cowboys too, but Notre Dame also is one of those teams that loves being hated on by the biased media. But Notre Dame got a big win yesterday against Pitt. My alma mater, Utah Utes. I do follow two college football teams, the University of Utah and Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Irish was my team growing up as a kid for college football, and then, of course, I graduated with a bachelor's degree from the University of Utah. So University of Utah is my alma mater. University of Utah Utes, we got a big win yesterday against Baylor. That was pretty much expected, though. And Utah is also possibly challenging for a playoff spot. Now, if I'm being honest, if Utah were to get into the college football playoffs, there's no way we would win. Now, Notre Dame, I feel like Notre Dame, we got a chance of doing something this year, especially after what happened last year. But as for Utah, I don't think we'd have a chance. But it was nice to see some good football played by both football teams. Utah's had a good season. Notre Dame's once again had a good season. Both teams are very well coached, something that the Dallas Cowboys are desperately missing. The Cowboys are incredibly undisciplined. They're not well coached. They're not well managed. You know, I've been defending Jerry Jones a lot this offseason. I still feel like that he won the Micah Parsons trade. Of course, Micah Parsons had a good game today against the Giants of all teams. Granted, he padded his stats there at the end with that sack fumble. But at the end of the day, you look at what Micah Parsons has done. He's having a decent year. I mean, he has 8.5 sacks on the season, which is pretty good in 10 games. But the Cowboys would have been stupid to go out there and pay him $47 million a year. I already think the Cowboys made a massive mistake by going out there and overpaying Dak. I talk about that all the time on my channel. But in many ways, Micah Parsons is like the Dak Prescott of the defense. You know, he pads his stats against bad, beat-up, hurt football teams, but when he goes up against the better offensive lines, he's nowhere to be found. Just look at Philadelphia last week. You know what I mean? Or the Panthers the week before that. But the truth of the matter is, Fan Nation, the Dallas Cowboys are a mess right now. Jerry Jones, while he has made, I think the trade he made with Green Bay was good. He's made massive mistake with the culture that he's built here. Jerry Jones has built a horrible culture in Dallas, and while give him credit where credit's due, he's gotten talent. I mean, the Cowboys right now, Fan Nation, are a talented football team. But because of the bad coaching that we got, and because of the culture where all that really matters is money, the team is struggling this year. And that's been a big reason. Big reason why we struggled this year has been because the defense has been so bad. Yet, you know, everybody's talking about these players not showing up and not playing well, and rightfully so. They deserve some criticism too. But how come this defense has just as much talent as it did just 2-3 years ago with Dan Quinn, and that defense was playing 1,000 times better? Tells me that the coaching in Dallas is not very good. I've been saying since week 4 that the Cowboys needed to fire Matt Eberflus, but Jerry Jones and his voice going, well, I want to get in the foxhole with Matt Eberflus, which I think is kind of funny because it just sounds weird, man. Like, Jerry Jones says some wild stuff, but, you know, it is what it is. It's just been hard, man. The last 2 years as a Cowboys fan has been hard. 2024 started off horribly. We got destroyed by Green Bay. Jerry Jones made the awful decision to keep, you know, Mike McCarthy, of all coaches. He should have moved on from Mike McCarthy after that game with all the talent he had. And then he doubled down and paid Dak Prescott, which was the worst mistake that Anybody could have made. There is no way Dak Prescott should have ever gotten paid $60 million. He's an average quarterback that, while he's had a good season this year and Dak hasn't been the main reason why the Cowboys are 3-5-1, he also has a loaded offense. And honestly, Dak has not done well the last 2 weeks, Fan Nation. Dak has been absolutely atrocious the last 2 weeks. He played like crap against the Broncos. When he finally had to face a good defense, was trash. And then last week against the Cardinals, he really didn't do much either. And the Cardinals are not a good team. So things are just not going in our favor. Green Bay got lucky and ended up beating the Giants towards the end. Carolina, who we need to lose, they won today. Now, Buffalo did beat Tampa Bay. That was, kind of expected. And even the Giants losing to Green Bay was kind of expected. But still, it would have been nice, Chicago, of course, ended up beating Minnesota. So things are just not looking good for the Cowboys. I was saying that the best thing for the Dallas Cowboys to do would be to tank. But to be honest with you, Fan Nation, that was before we made the Quinnen Williams trade. That was before we lost our second first-round pick for next year. And we lost our second-round pick for this year. So we already don't have a second or third-round pick because we spent it on George Pickens and we spent it on Quinnen Williams. So we're going to have 2 first-round picks this year, and then we don't get to pick until day 3. And I didn't even think about that until just recently. I was watching Danny Savage's channel. He mentioned that, and I thought about it. I'm like, yeah. So the Cowboys, while I like Quinnen Williams, I think he'll help our defense. I think Wilson will help our defense. Cowboys are just in rebuild mode, man. And what's stupid about it is I knew the Cowboys were in rebuild mode going into 2024, and the Cowboys really could have set themselves up for success if we had just let Dak Prescott play out the final year of his contract. We either could have saved money and not paid Dak the $60 million because he would have been hurt, and that would have, hurt his value. Or we could have just honestly, in my opinion, just straight up moved on from Dak, drafted a quarterback. Hey, we could have taken Jackson Dart, who's on the New York Giants. They got a bright future there. We could have taken Shedeur Sanders. Heck, we could have even taken Shedeur Sanders this year. But the Cowboys have just made all the wrong. The only moves I feel like we've done right is trading away Micah. I feel like was the right move. I don't know about the Quinnen Williams trade yet. I think Quinnen Williams is a good player, very good player, but it's all going to come down to how Matt Eberflus uses him. And I don't trust Matt Eberflus to use our defensive personnel the right way, because all Matt Eberflus has done is prove all of us right that he's a terrible defensive coordinator. He's a terrible coach. I mean, look at the Bears right now. The Bears are 7-3. We could have had Ben Johnson out there, but no coach wants to come into Dallas and have to put up with the circus and Jerry and Stephen Jones. And the only reason that Ryan Schottenheimer even has his job, Fan Nation, as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys goes back to Dak. So all the Dak Prescott fans that are complaining to me on my channel and complaining that Ryan Schottenheimer is not the guy, guess what, guys? Your boy that you wanted to keep here, that you were begging and pleading Jerry Jones to keep, he is the one that wanted Schottenheimer. So a lot of this goes back to Dak. So everybody blaming Jerry Jones for Ryan Schottenheimer. Jerry Jones is just giving you what you wanted. Y'all wanted Jerry Jones to go out there and pay Dak Prescott. He did that for you. He paid him the bank, just like you Dak Prescott fans wanted. He is now listening to Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott has a lot of input on who and who doesn't get hired. The reason why Brian Schottenheimer is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys goes back to Dak. And I've been saying this since March. The reason why Brian is the head coach is because that's who Dak wanted, Fan Nation. That's who Dak wanted. And then who wanted Dak to be paid? You Dak Prescott fanboys wanted him to be paid. I didn't want him to be paid. I wanted the Cowboys to move on from Dak. Rebuild the team with a new quarterback, new system. But guess what? Jerry didn't want to do that. Why? Because he knows that a lot of the Dak Prescott fan base, y'all that buy his jersey and listen to, and make all these excuses for him. Okay. He knew y'all would buy into it and y'all are going to make him that money. So it's collective blame. It's collective blame, man. The Cowboys are a mess. I have no idea how tomorrow is going to go, man. Theoretically speaking, the Raiders, I mean, they do have Brock Bowers. They do have Ashton Genty. They got a couple weapons offensively, but the Raiders traded away a lot of their best offensive talent. They're 2-7. But then again, the Cowboys have the worst defense in the NFL. So how are they going to do tomorrow? No idea. And the offense, man, everybody's been talking about the defense. We know the defense is trash. But the whole bread and butter to this team is supposed to be the offense. Brian Schottenheimer has not done a good job the last couple weeks calling plays. And Dak Prescott has not done a good job playing the quarterback position the last 2 weeks. Everybody that was hailing him the MVP, he's looked like crap the last 2 weeks. So I don't know where we go from here. I'm just sick and tired of the games. I'm tired of the lies and the excuses that are being made for Dak Prescott. I'm tired of the excuses that Jerry Jones is making for some of the coaches that are his buddies down there in Dallas. I'm just tired of it, man. I'm just tired of it. It frustrates me to my core. And I'm tired of these players when they get paid all the big money not doing their job and not showing up. You know, there's already been talks of Terrence Steele being benched. I hate to say this, man, but Terrence Steele should have been benched a long time ago, and I've been somebody that's defended Terrence Steele here on my channel. But do I think Terrence Steele is overpaid? Yeah. He's a good run blocker. He's a top 10 run blocker in the NFL, but his pass blocking skills have been very suspect, on top of the fact he has not been the same since he's come back from that injury, you know. So I do think it's time for the Dallas Cowboys to move on from Terrence Steele. I do think it's time for the Dallas Cowboys to at least do something. I think at this point, now that we got Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark, if the Dallas Cowboys were smart, they're not. They're a bunch of idiots up there. The Cowboys would find a way to offload Osa Odighizuwa's contract. What do I think the Cowboys will do? Well, it wouldn't surprise me if we let go of Kenny Clark because he's the older player, and we keep Quinnen and Osa. And that's a very Cowboys move because the Cowboys are dumb, bro. When it comes to evaluating defensive tackle, we are like bottom of the NFL when it comes to evaluating defensive tackle. Our best defensive tackle is a guy that we didn't even draft. It's a guy we traded for. And our best two defensive tackles are guys we traded for. You know? Osa Odighizuwa was getting better, but he's played like crap this last year. And Quinnen is a 3-tech, so it could be completely stupid for the Dallas Cowboys to let go of Kenny Clark, keep Osa and Quinnen. Quinnen is not a 1-tech. He's a 3-tech. He's a 3-tech that can play 1-tech in certain situations, but he's not a full-time 1-tech. But can I see the Cowboys being stupid and saying, well, we have Quinnen Williams and Osa who we just paid who are young, and, you know, Kenny Clark is older. We're going to move on from him. I could see him being stupid and doing something like that. Absolutely. But if it were me, I would let go Osa. I would try to trade Osa for a 4th or 5th. You're not going to get a 1st or a 2nd for him. No way. You would be lucky to get a 3rd. I don't think you'd get a 3rd for Osa. I think for Osa, the best you could do as if you're the Cowboys, if you're going to trade him, you could probably get a 4th, maybe a 5th rounder, mid to late round pick. And I would take it. I would take a 4th or a 5th round pick for Osa. I would do it in a heartbeat because Osa's not living up to his contract, man. He's not living up to his contract. And it's another example of Dallas Cowboys players, when they get that bag, they don't show up. Just like, you know, we've all noticed over the years. And you know what's funny is whenever the Cowboys have not gone out there and paid a player the big bucks, they've actually ended up winning. We didn't pay DeMarco Murray the big bucks. Guess what? We got Darren McFadden and Zeke. We're just fine there. We didn't pay Dalton Schultz the big bucks. Guess what? We had Jake Ferguson. We've been just fine there. So those are just 2 examples when the Cowboys have not gone out there and paid the players the big bucks how they've won. The Cowboys have done it multiple times throughout the years, and they need to start doing that a lot more. They got to stop overpaying these players that don't show up. It's part of the problem down there. So I'm just sick and tired of it, man. And things need to change. Do I think they're going to? No. But it needs to change. The Cowboys are an absolute mess. And the sad thing is, Cowboys have a lot of talent, Fan Nation. If the Cowboys even had mediocre coaching, if we had even just average coaching right now, offense and defensively, Cowboys would probably have 3-4 more wins than what we have. Instead of being 3-5-1, the Cowboys would probably at bare minimum be at least 6-4. The Cowboys would probably have 3 more wins. If we had better coaching, Cowboys would probably have at least 3 more wins than what we got. And that's the truth. We would. We'd have 3 more wins than what we got if we even had mediocre coaching right now. And we'd be in the hunt with everybody else in the NFC for a playoff spot. But because the Cowboys have terrible coaching, they have a terrible defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus, we sit at 3-5-1. And because we have a quarterback that's not showed up the last 2 weeks, we're 3-5-1. Like I said, I made a video a couple weeks ago. Dak Prescott, the $60 million man, 6-10-1 in his last 17 starts. Not too good. So I'm just tired. I know it's sad, but I'm just tired of it, man. I'm tired.